You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Subscribe to our channel for new story. Story title: The Musicians of Bremen. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled at the edge of a dense forest, there lived a man who owned a donkey named Diego. Diego was a loyal and hard-working donkey who for many years had carried heavy corn sacks to the mill. However, as time went by, Diego grew old and his strength began to fade. The man, thinking Diego was no longer useful, considered how he might give him away. But Diego, sensing his fate, decided to take matters into his own hooves. One early morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the clouds, Diego set out on a journey to the city of Bremen. He had heard stories of the bustling town where he could surely become a town musician and live a life of music and merriment. As Diego trotted along the winding road, he soon encountered a large, shaggy dog lying on the side, crying bitterly. "Why are you crying so loudly, my big fellow?" asked Diego, his voice full of concern. The dog, whose name was Bruno, looked up with teary eyes and replied, "I am old and weak. My master wanted to kill me because I can no longer guard the house, so I ran away. But now, I don't know how to earn my bread." Diego's heart went out to Bruno. "Come with me to Bremen," he suggested. "I am going to become a town musician there. I will play the lute, and you can beat the kettle drum." Bruno's face lit up at the idea, and he eagerly agreed. The two new friends continued their journey together, filled with hope and excitement. After walking for a while, Diego and Bruno came across a cat sitting by the roadside, looking as gloomy as 3 rainy days put together. Her name was Cleopatra, and she had a reputation for being a skilled mouser. But now, she was too old to catch mice, and her owner had chased her away. "What's the matter, Cleopatra?" asked Diego. "I'm too old to catch mice anymore, and my owner threw me out. Now I have nowhere to go and nothing to eat," she replied, her voice trembling with sadness. Diego and Bruno exchanged glances. "Come with us to Bremen," they said. "You understand night music, and we need a skilled musician like you. We will make a great team." Cleopatra thought it was a splendid idea and joined them on their journey. As the trio continued, they reached a farmyard where a rooster named Red was perched on the gate, crowing with all his might. "Your crowing goes right through one," said Diego. "What is the matter?" "They intend to eat me in the soup tomorrow," Red cried out. "I don't want to end up in a pot." "You'd better come with us," said Diego. "We are going to Bremen to become town musicians. You have a strong voice, and together we will make wonderful music." Red, overjoyed by the offer, agreed and joined the band. The 4 companions walked on, their spirits high as they sang and talked about their future as musicians. The journey to Bremen was long, and as night fell, the friends found themselves deep in a forest. They decided to rest for the night. Diego and Bruno laid down under a large tree, while Cleopatra and Red settled in the branches. Red, being the lightest, flew up to the very top for safety. Before falling asleep, Red spotted a faint light in the distance. "Look, there's a light over there. Perhaps we can find shelter and food," he suggested. The others agreed, and they made their way towards the light. They soon arrived at a well-lit house that belonged to a band of robbers. Diego, being the tallest, peeked through the window. "I see a table covered with delicious food and drink, and robbers sitting around it, enjoying themselves," he whispered to the others. "That would be the sort of thing for us," said Red. The animals put their heads together and came up with a plan to drive the robbers away. Diego placed his front hooves on the window ledge, Bruno jumped on Diego's back, Cleopatra climbed onto Bruno, and finally, Red perched on Cleopatra's head. With everyone in place, they began their concert. Diego brayed, Bruno barked, Cleopatra meowed, and Red crowed as loud as he could. The sudden and terrifying noise shattered the window, sending the robbers into a panic. They leaped from their seats, convinced that a ghost had invaded their hideout, and fled into the forest in a great fright. The 4 friends, now the new masters of the house, settled at the table and enjoyed a feast. They ate until they were full and then found comfortable places to sleep. Diego laid down on some straw in the yard, Bruno behind the door, Cleopatra on the hearth, and Red perched on a roof beam. In the middle of the night, the robbers, seeing that the house was dark and quiet, decided to send one of their men back to check if it was safe. The robber crept back to the house and found everything still. He entered the kitchen to light a candle, mistaking Cleopatra's glistening eyes for hot coals. When he tried to light his matchstick using her eyes, Cleopatra sprang at him, scratching his face. The robber, terrified, stumbled towards the back door, but Bruno, who was lying there, bit his leg. As the robber ran across the yard, Diego delivered a swift kick, sending him flying. Red, awakened by the commotion, crowed from the rooftop, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" The robber, now thoroughly frightened, ran back to his captain, trembling. "There is a horrible witch in the house who scratched my face with her long claws. By the door stands a man with a knife who bit my leg. In the yard, there's a black monster that hit me with a club, and above, on the roof, sits the judge who shouted, 'Bring the rogue here to me. I barely escaped with my life.'" The robbers never dared to return to the house again, leaving it to the 4 musicians of Bremen. The friends found their new home so comfortable and suited to their needs that they decided to stay there forever. They practiced their music daily, filling the forest with their unique and harmonious tunes. And so, the musicians of Bremen lived happily ever after, making music and enjoying their new life together. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.